Kumho TCR Australia Series for one more time around this famous circuit at Mount Panorama. What will happen here? I mean, anybody's guess, really. But we do know one thing. We'll crown our Australian TCR champion. Will it be Josh Bucket? Will it be Bailey Sweeney? Will it be Aaron Cameron? They're all in the mix now as we come down to the final 11 laps of our local 2023 series. And the World Tour, of course, has come to play as well. It's all coming up. Stick around.
Bathurst Mount Panorama welcomes us all for the Kumho TCR World Tour and Super Cheap Auto TCR Australia. We've had two dramatic days of racing and it all comes to a crescendo here today, right here, right now. Will we have a new winner in the Kumho TCR World Tour? That we are yet to know. One thing we do know though, Matt Nolte, we're going to have a new Super Cheap Auto TCR Australia champion by the end of today.
Yeah, hi Paul, amazing. It's coming down to the final race of the year and 19 points separating the two HMO customer racing drivers and 24 points covering the top three. You and I are going to be exceptionally busy over the next 35 minutes.
Indeed we are. It's been an incredible build-up to this point. We've had a festival of motorsport here at the Super Cheap Auto Bathurst International. And now it's the final time, with a hint of sadness, sir, I think it's fair to say, the final time we're going to be racing today. And if our first two races are anything to go by, one thing we know is we know absolutely nothing in relation to this result.
I think this is going to be gloves off, right down to the last corner kind of affair. There's no coming back after this. Sure, Macau's next weekend, but there's other cars that are up in that part of the world ready to go racing. These guys, they want to go out. The internationals want to leave here and dominate the final race. They want a 1, 2, 3. The Australians need to focus on who's behind them, particularly where Bailey Sweeney's coming down the field from 17th, while Josh Buckham will start from 10th for this race here today. This is going to be a huge race.
Yep, it really is. And now, before we get started, let's just take a few moments to throw to the anthem.
Australians, oh, let us rejoice, for we are young and free, with golden soil and wealth for toil. Our home is goodbye sea. Our land abounds in nature's gifts of beauty, rich and
Beautiful rendition of Advanced Australia Fair, and that sets the scene for the final race of Super Cheap Auto TCR Australia and the Kumho TCR World Tour. The cars are making their way to the grid. The wind has picked up significantly since race number 2. Temperatures, in fact, have gone up by a couple of degrees since we left some 3 hours ago. So a lot to play out here for the final 11 laps of the race as Aaron Cameron slots in the Eve Valvoline Peugeot into his grid spot for this final race out of position 8.
Yeah, the temperatures on circuit and in the atmospheric temperatures are incredibly high here at Bathurst, but the pressure and the temperature in the cockpits continues to increase. This is the last opportunity for the drivers here at Bathurst to impress Greg Rust, and they've certainly impressed at this point, but the pressure's now on.
For all sorts of reasons, guys. Nice to join you both here in the commentary box. You've probably detailed it already, those revised point standings with a few penalties being applied. Norby Mikolas, 365, Rob Huff, 362, and Cyan Racing Lincoln Co.'s Jan Elishay, 354. Now let's have a little look at some of the incidents on our Shannon Speed Series replay for you. So officials have been very busy and done a good job to get these matters dealt with in between the races, to get it done before the final one of the afternoon. Yeah, Mr. Girolami here.
So this is Nesta Girolami, of course. He's received a 5-second penalty for this little altercation with Jan Elishay. This was, remember, right at the very death of the race earlier today. The change in orders for the 5 seconds for Nesta, 5 seconds for Fredrik Vervich that we saw just previous to this one, and Lockie Manif as well, 5 seconds added to their race time. That closes up the Kumho TCR World Tour point standing. So now Jan Elishay is just 11 points in arrears in third position. Couldn't really get much closer, but seen as though we have done.
All right, we are about to soak up the awesome atmosphere here for one more time at the Super Cheap Auto Bathurst International. Let's take you to the grid. Here's Chris Stubbs.
Greg Russ, thank you. As we welcome our international viewers, they may not be aware that Aaron Cameron a few months ago probably would have taken being live in the title fight today. Is that right, Aaron?
Yeah, it's what we all sort of want, and yeah, it was sort of slipping away earlier in the year, but yeah, it's coming back to us now.
Tell us about the performance and the car speed that you've got. You're out of P8.
Yeah, the car's probably not the fastest car on the grid, but yeah, he managed to get it second in that one, and yeah, starting in front of Josh is perfect. Yeah, all the pressure's on him to not make a mistake in this one, and we just get to have some fun with the international guys.
Have you got more friends on this grid than you did at the start of the day now? Have you had a few chats?
No, not so much. I had a lot of people talking to me this morning about how to play that first race for them, for the international stuff, but no, we just let it come to us. That's what's been happening. The other guys have been falling off and making mistakes, so yeah, see how we go.
What will be all the very best of luck, Aaron.
Yeah, thank you guys. Cheers.
Carl Cox, it's great to have you here at Bathurst. You seem to be enjoying your Bathurst experience. Proud of Michael Clemente, all the work from their whole team that's gone in to get here. What's it been like from your perspective to come to the event, Bathurst of all places, and see everything working on the ground?
Well, it's blown my mind, of course, you know, and going around with Michael and doing the hot laps as well gives you a newfound perspective of what these guys have to go through to keep the car on the black stuff, of course, and off the walls at a breakneck speed. But it's been really interesting to see, you know, actually being here now, what all the teams have to go through and to deal with all the heat issues and tyre issues and everything, and to keep the car on the road as much as possible, on the track as much as possible. You know, we've had, you know, plenty of issues with our car. The reason why we're at the back at the moment, and there's more to talk about that eventually down the line. But at the end of the day, it's just great racing that we've seen here, obviously with Trans Am as well, and what's happened with James Moffitt and everything that happened in his race. But it's so much going on here, really. I mean, we could be talking about this all day long, but I've been really enjoying my experience being at Bathurst for the very first time. It won't be the last.
Fantastic to hear. We know you like to do a bit of drag racing yourself, but do you reckon you would spin a few laps in one of these?
Absolutely not, no.
All right, quick answer. Thanks, Carl. Great to have you here.
Thank you, Ali. Thank you.
Joining me now is the TCR Australia Series leader in the final race of the year, Josh Buchan. How are you? Are you well aware of what is needed from you right now?
Yeah, I got to finish somewhere in this bunch of cars, and I should be all right.
8th will do it. You're sounding pretty measured. You're focused. You've got the right car to get the job done.
Yeah, I think so. We had our worst tyres in that second race. That explains half the pace. So got some better ones now, so hopefully it's enough.
Josh, good luck.
Thanks.
So the stage is set. Final one for season 2023 for Super Cheap Auto TCR Australia. And at the same time, as Paul just detailed there a moment ago, the points so close in the Kumho TCR World Tour. They will go to Macau next weekend. It's 20 days on the road for these teams before the big final, of course, in Portugal. That's going to be huge in Macau next weekend. So some stories to play out here. What will Josh Buchan do? Great story by our colleague Simon Chapman a little earlier in the week that for the Wide Water Sports website that told the story of Josh and his path to this point. It's not been a conventional path, but to think that he's within a shot of maybe winning the Australian crown, pretty special.
And just as we saw last year, the series goes down to the final race, and that's fitting, and that's also testament to the way this series is structured with the points. It rewards consistency, but you could have a bad run like a couple of these guys have done, but still be in the mix. Aaron Cameron could do it today.
Yeah, it's absolutely perfect. The form, there we go. Girolami with a kangaroo coloured in on his door. No doubt his youngster has done that one for him. We had to stop, actually, leaving the circuit the other day. We were giving Beba a lift back to the hotel, and we had to stop because there were some kangaroos on the infield. So we did a little video and did a voice call back to his child at home. So Absolutely, like the entire field, so happy to be here in Australia. It's outstanding to be part of Champion Sunday for the series as well, to be a part of the atmosphere that we've got going on here, the conclusion of what's been a great year of racing in Super Cheap Australia. It really is a very fitting way to end what has been a very exciting period of time for the series, and long may it be the first of many.
I'm sure you'll be back next year.
Oh, yes.
Can't wait for that. And what about this ultra-professional Cyan Racing Lincoln Co team? They've locked out the front row for this final race. We've just had a Trans Am race finish in the last few minutes. There is a little bit of oil out there still on the course, so the teams and drivers will be paying close attention to that as the cars leave the grid. You're right, with Englishman Rob Huff, who won spectacularly last weekend under lights at Sydney Motorsport Park. Tony D'Alberto, the sole Honda on the first 2 rows of those Lincoln Co's, that lock out the front row for the final 11 laps at this famous Mount Panorama motor racing circuit.
It wasn't necessarily the weekend that they thought it would be for Cyan Racing Lincoln Co and Sydney Motorsport Park, but they lock out the front row for the final one of the weekend at one of the greatest tracks on the planet, Mount Panorama. Santi Urrutia, who won race 1, will start from pole position alongside Jan Aleshay, who is right in the mix for the TCR World Tour. We've just updated the points. Tony D'Alberto, at this very track just 12 months ago, was crowned Australian champion. That Honda is fast. The smiles weren't much wider than Ted Bjork a little earlier today when he finished in victory lane in the top 3 in race 2 of the weekend.
Rob Huff starts from 5th position. He comes into this race 2nd in the Kumho TCR World Tour, behind that man Norbert Michaelis in 6th position. Those two are going to be one to watch as this race unfolds. Bebo Girolami, 7th position for Honda World Racing. He's got Aaron Cameron for company. Cameron in a championship fight of his own. 9th place, the penalised Frederick Vervies, just ahead of Josh Buchan for HMO Customer Racing.
Zach Suter starts out of 11. It's been a good weekend apart from that tyre failure in the earlier race today. Martin Haas starts out of position 12 in the next Lincoln Co car. Jordan Cox starts from 13 today alongside Tom Oliphant in the Ash Seawood prepared Lincoln Co car. Back to Lockie Maneth. He also got 5 seconds added to his time at race 2. And Ian McDougall for Challenge Motorsport in the Audi starts out of 16.
The heartbreak for Bailey Sweeney. He came into the final round, the youngster from the south coast of New South Wales, south of Sydney, leading the Australian point score. He now trails his stablemate Josh Buchan going into the final race of the season. Teddy Claret is here working with the Bargwannas. His stablemate to Ben Bargwanna, who had pole position at Sydney Motorsport Park. Mikkel Afkona had an issue in race 1, but he was the hard charger in race 2 earlier today, clawing his way from the back of the grid in that Elantra up into 10th place. Good field of cars here, wonderful mix of star international drivers, fast locals, titles to be decided in Australia, but the World Tour still with more stops to come. So I think immediately of what you do in these moments. Teamwork has been a story of our weekend so far. Does Santi Urrutia try and help Jan Aleshay here? What does Cyan Racing Lincoln Co do? We've seen Fred Vervies, such electric start from him. If he can launch from that 5th row, get up around Rob Huff, he too could be a factor for Continue Racing. Here's another asset we haven't necessarily thought about either. Emil Ventura, who is the psychologist, the trainer for the Hyundai squad. He's a guy that has worked with some elite athletes in motor racing. Emmy is there looking after the likes of Norby Michaelis and, of course, their driver, Mikkel Afkona, who's coming from the back of the grid. Little words of wisdom from someone like that just before we go. So valuable.
Yeah, when you're heading into a motor race at a circuit like Mount Panorama Bathurst, every single aspect that you can put into your favour, be that a mental, be it that physical, be it the mechanical setup of your car, you need to grasp those moments, you need to take those advantages, and that's what these drivers are looking for now. Play the mind games with their rivals, keep themselves calm and under control as well, Knowles, because it's so easy at this point in a race weekend to let the red mist descend and you can lose a race on the first lap, but you most certainly cannot win one.
I think I might need to go and see him after all of this. Straight after this. Seriously.
That might require a few sessions, man. Not just one.
A year's worth. We started with 24 here on practice day on Friday. Will Harris had to withdraw from the event with a rib injury that's come back to plague him We've also lost today Brad Harris, who felt very unwell during race 2, and no Will Brown for the final race of this event. Michael Clementi almost didn't make it to the grid. They've replaced the clutch in the Carl Cox Motorsport entry, and Frederick Vervish had late repairs replacing the cooling system. It was overheating, and you need to keep the cars really cool this late afternoon sun as they make their way to their grid spots for this final race of the year.
Older generation, Hyundai i30N. This car, from its first sheet of paper on computer, was very much Gabriele Tarquini's baby, incredibly well sorted. Here's the newer generation, Elantra, in the hands of Mikel Azcona. Green flag waves. We're about to go for the final one at Mount Panorama.
Cyan Racing lockout on the front row. 21 cars set for the charge at just over 200 metres to Hell Corner. We get underway at Mount Panorama. Aaron Cameron scorching already. D'Alberto tucked in the back of Santiago Urrutia's car into turn number 1. He's been swamped by the Lincoln Co's as they make their way through Hell Corner in the rows of 2. Bargwanna takes the dirt at the back of the field, and the charge up Mountain Straight is on. The Lincoln Co cars lead. Looks like D'Alberto's going to be hung out here. Might be 5th by the time we get to Griffin's Bend here on the opening lap. They're tightly packed in.
And look at this one. Jan Alishay has the inside line. He converts that into a race lead. Santiago Urrutia not holding too much of a grudge against his teammate. Gave him the racing room, and he's the main championship rival for the Cyan Racing Lincoln Co. Ted Bjork moves up into 3rd position. A little bit of contact between the Contiu car and Nestor Girolami as well, further through the pack. But everybody so far, chaps, makes it through relatively unscathed as we ride on board with Mikel Azcona.
And I tell you who's jumped on the back bumper of this car. That is Bailey Sweeney. That is a smart move by Bailey Sweeney. Go with Mikel Azcona. He was almost channeling a bit of the Hyundai World Rally team as he came up. They were 3 wide going up Mountain Straight. Lincoln Co, Cyan Racing, they lead the way. It's Alishay from Urrutia and Bjork. They lock out the top 3 spots just for now.
It's a beautiful sight, all 3 of them, as they come through the dipper for the first of 11 tours. Alishay, Urrutia, Ted Bjork runs in 3rd position. Rob Huff is in 4th. D'Alberto 5th and Aaron Cameron 2nd. He's gone ahead of D'Alberto, and that's a key moment for the Aussie Series that puts him into the lead of the Australian side.
That was a wild send by Aaron Cameron, but there was no alternative. He had to do it. Fired it down the inside at Forest Elbow and gets ahead of Tony D'Alberto. That Peugeot, relative to the Honda, should be hamstrung. He's making it do things that it... Little wild on the run into the chase. Was there a bit of contact there? The Peugeot back end dances around. D'Alberto's got greater speed. Cameron goes off. He's got to recover this. He's got to get back on. From the points lead, he drops back again, Matt.
Breathtaking stuff on the opening lap. The Lincoln Co's lead at the end of lap number 1. Audi runs in 4th position. Behind them is D'Alberto. Look at him swarming out. Aaron Cameron trying to cover off the charge of Fast just behind. Recovering from that incident down there at the chase. Tucks in behind Jordan Cox.
This is massive drama here. Now we're riding on board with Cameron. That is Jordan Cox just ahead of us. Cameron has been hustled back. He did well to keep the car, realistically speaking, pointing in the right direction. But Aaron Cameron will be furious now, having been manhandled off of the racetrack a little bit. There we go, Zach Suter in the background as well, trying desperately to find a way past Mikel Azcona to the outside of Lucky McNeef. Azcona does not make his way past on this occasion. And look, Cox and Cameron side by side again. Cameron this time on the outside. You do not want to be on the outside. Marching Hua for company in the background as well. Will he make it through? There is Jordan Cox to the left-hand side. The car's going to run out of racing room. Aaron Cameron wisely decides it is better to slip back in and try again. But that gent, I've got notes alongside me, waving arms around. That was dramatic.
He held on as long as he could around the outside and had to give in to Jordan Cox. Meantime, Josh Buchan has fallen behind Bailey Sweeney. He's dropped down a couple of positions in the Australian side of the series. Down the hill we go. The Lincoln Co is still 1, 2 and 3. We go back to Rob Huff in the Audi next. Alberto is 5th and leading the Australian side on lap 2.
gritty racing from the Aussies here with the title on the line. Well done, Bailey Sweeney. He's up into 12th. We've got a question mark with Josh Buchan. Is that just traffic? What's been happening there? In the meantime, the Lincoln Co, the Cyan Racing entries are still 1, 2 and 3. Tony D'Alberto is lighting up our timing monitor. Quick through sector 1, personal best through sector 2. That Honda is closing in. He's trying to go with Rob Huff, who's in 4th place there in that Audi.
Nightmare scenario for Rob Huff, those who've seen 3 Lincoln Co's ahead. But let's have a look at this now. This is Frederick Vervies trying to find, desperately trying to find a way past Bebo Girolami. Girolami covers the inside line for the run down into Murray's, the final corner. Smoke, though, who is on one of the Elantras further back. That is Mikel Azcona kicking up a little bit of smoke, as we're seeing Teddy Clary getting involved as well. McNeath was the victim on this occasion. And chaps, there we go.
It's body work. It's rubbing on something's happened there, hasn't it?
Is that a little bit of rubber in his racing mid-pack, and it's starting to be a problem for Mikel Azcona as Tom Oliphant gets unceremoniously pushed out wide there by Clemente. Good move by Michael Clemente to make the position.
We're lap 3 of 11. That he can't keep doing that. It just won't last. That'll be a pit lane visit for him at some stage. So we continue up the mountain. Jan Aleshay, this is good for his TCR World Tour bid. Santi Urrutia in second. Ted Bjork, he's got coverage. He's protected there. This is good for Jan Aleshay. Tony D'Alberto, best lap of the race we've seen so far, 2:16.14. Jordan Cox, who we saw with the elbows out before, has the best sector across the top of the mountain in that Peugeot. We've seen him do that before, Matt. He is handy at this point of the track.
10th position outright on the track for him. So D'Alberto the fastest again. He scored the 1-lap bonus in both race 1 and race 2 of this weekend's event at the Super Cheap Auto Bathurst International. Aleshay is responding with the fastest first sector in the 2:16s. The gap is 0.3 of a second back to Urrutia. Ted Bjork is 3rd. Down into the Schaffler elbow on lap 3.
Just look how close now that we're getting with Rob Huff, with Tony D'Alberto as well. They're coming together as one. Will they work together to try to attack the Lincoln Co drivers? Let's take a quick look, though, at the start replay.
Brilliant start from the front row.
Jordan Cox launched away.
Slingshot.
Yeah, brilliant work by him, and then opts for the inside running to get by Josh Buchan. So Schaffler Peugeot was dynamite off the start line, and he finds himself now in 9th position. They were 3 wide going up the hill. This caught our attention. Got a little wild, under brakes. I'm not sure if there was a touch there, but gee, they went close. Aaron Cameron and Tony D'Alberto. Off onto the grass goes Cameron. Keeps it pointing in the right direction, importantly. He's back in 10th. Let's have a little look here. Ooh.
That was close, and that was Teddy Clary, who was disqualified for being underweight in race 2 earlier today. And bits and pieces hanging off Lockie Manif's Audi in the background of that shot on the replay as they hit Mountain Straight in the afternoon sun. Lap 4 of 11. Lincoln Co's dominating this one. You're in car with Rob Huff in the Audi, reigned in 4th position. D'Alberto still 5th. Norbert Nicholas runs in 6th ahead of Girolami, Vervies, Jordan Cox and Aaron Cameron is your top 10.
Look at the body language of Rob Huff's car now. He wants to find a way past Ted Bjork. He knows the more positions he can gain, the closer to Jan Aleshay he becomes, the more he's protected his championship point charge. Going in to Macau, which is the next race, is a very, very difficult racetrack where anything can happen. You want as many comfort blanket points, so to speak, as possible. Rob Huff will not be satisfied in 4th, but behind him it looks like Tony D'Alberto. He's also a little bit faster, I think, at this stage in the Honda. I think if D'Alberto can clear that Audi, he's going to be right on the back of these front 3.
Just to vindicate your point, Nestor Girolami, quickest lap of the race, 2:15.89. Those Hondas, as we know, are fast. So the second of those wall racing prep machines is in 7th at the moment. Tony, we feel, has more pace than his lap time suggests. Can he perhaps get by Rob Huff? And then maybe that great straight line speed of the Honda might help Huffy if he can tuck in behind there, help him get a little closer to those Lincoln Co entries.
That's not a bad shout there, actually, Greg, because, of course, Huffy would... anything he could do to disrupt the cars would be to his advantage. But let's have a quick word down on pit lane.
Well, there's one car that we're normally used to seeing out on the track. Will Brown's Audi is parked up. We saw him have that drive shaft issue in the earlier race. The team have chosen not to repair it. They'll be starting at the rear of the grid. They decided to save some budget. I'm completely hypothesising here, but could it be saving budget for the TCR World Final?
Oh,
Ooh.
nice, Molly.
Well done.
Nice work. Background, was that one Lincoln Coast coming off? That'll be Marching Wab that's returned to the corners of the chase and has fallen back into this angry pack. It's Suter, Mikhail Afkono, whose smoke has cleared away from his entry, and they're 3 wide heading up pit straight.
So a quick recap of the Aussie players as we consider watching Josh Bucket here at the moment with Ben Barkwana. So that puts him back to 15th place. Aaron Cameron currently sits in 10th. Bailey Sweeney is in 11th. So good luck, Matt Nolte. Ducks of mathematics in a school in South Australia. As he crunches the number, my friend is sweating. Sorry, Paul. We like stirring here in Australia. Barkwana. Deep under brakes. He keeps Josh Buchan at bay as they run up the mountain. So up in front, it's the internationals in this one. Oh, into the wall! Santi's hit the wall, and it's damage that looks significant damage to the left-hand side. Santi Arruzia, our race 1 winner.
That is a massive hit for Santi. He's managed to find the escape road. Look at the car crabbing to the left-hand side. He's pulled the car out of the way. Hopefully, Santi Arruzia is okay. He's not banged about too hard from that, but that was a huge, huge piece of contact. Of course, Santi was running up there in second position. That will promote Ted Bjork and Rob Huff to the bottom step of the podium. But let's have a look. Look at the rear of the car. Those are those movable barriers I keep talking about that seemingly are pushed in front of a car at pace. And that, chaps, is a very, very big hit indeed.
Great driving just to recover that car and get it pulled up to the left-hand side in a really blind approach to the top of the mountain. So Arruzia drops out of the race and parked up at John Hinksman Vista. Puts Bjork up into second, Huff into third, D'Alberto in 4th position.
So Sweeney in the Australian complexion is now 9th, Aaron Cameron 10th, Josh Buchan in 14th. So we'll dive backwards and forwards for you because there's a significant race going on within the race. It's the internationals that are 1, 2 and 3. A pair of Cyan Racing Lincoln Co's, Jan Aleshay from Ted Bjork, but it's Rob Huff in the Comtu Audi who is in 3rd place. We go back to Bailey Sweeney in this fight with Aaron Cameron. Sweeney ahead of Cameron. 8th, Cameron is 9th.
And 2nd in the Australian Series now. Puts him 9 points behind Buchan as it stands.
But while this is happening, where has the pace gone for Josh Buchan?
Yeah,
he said he saved his best tyres on the grid for this race, but obviously we saw him, the argy-bargy in the middle of the race, and he came off second best from that one. But at the moment, 15th, we know driver and car combination are certainly quicker than that as Mikhail Afkono tries to make it too wide alongside Jordan Cox. Gets the job done. Jordan Cox, a little bit of rub in his racing. Further up, Aaron Cameron was very, very deep. Did he manage to get away from making contact with the wall? Afkono, though, takes the opportunity all the way around the outside. I think Cameron will have the inside line and the advantage. Yes, he does. But Aaron Cameron doing his very, very best to make Matt Nolte's mathematical calculations completely and utterly irrelevant the second he's done them.
I think there is a bit of damage. There's a hit of smoke then from the left side of the Cameron car. You're right, numbers keep changing by the second up here. Across the top of the mountain. Looking from Afkono's car, the Hyundai 196 through McPhillamy Park. And still 6 laps remaining.
The Cameron Peugeot, though, looks relatively straight, so I think he may have avoided contact, or significant contact. Yeah, at least we picked it up a little bit late on the shot. It was very, very deep. Mikhail Afkono, though, now trying his hardest to harry the back of that GRM machine. He sees the inside line, doesn't have enough room. A little lock-up from Aaron Cameron as well. He's just regathering some composure. Teddy Clare down pit lane as well. Look at the damage on the rear left of that Peugeot. So Clare's day is interrupted at best, potentially. It's early bath side.
Here's his stablemate in Ben Barkwana. They've been doing some great things together, the Clarets and the Barkwanas, on the international scene this year. And Ben is headed to Macau with them next weekend. Mikhail Afkono down the inside of Aaron Cameron. Good job by the Hyundai pilot. So that is for 10th place. So it moves him up into 10th spot. If you've not seen TCR competition before, 350 horsepower, turbocharged, front-wheel drive machines, very cost-effective form of racing, all sorts of different manufacturers, and as you are coming to realise, world-class local and international drivers.
Just to highlight that point there, Rust as well, Jordan Cox slides down the inside of Martin Gloire in the Scion Racing Lincoln Co-Car. We just saw the back of the shot as well, Josh Buchan, still in 15th position at this moment in time. Buchan got a little bit of work to do at this moment. We've got lap 7 of 11 complete. The final race of the weekend here at the Super Cheap Auto Bathurst International Kumho TCR World Tour. There we go, on the Super Cheap Auto TCR Australia Series combined.
Spare a thought for Rob Benson and the HMO customer racing team. Rob's a vastly experienced engineer and has done more than that behind the scenes, running that team down there. Both of his drivers in contention for the crown. What words of wisdom does he give to Josh Buchan? What's the latest numbers, Matt Nolte?
9 points.
Okay.
9 points in favour of Buchan as it stands. Sweeney is running second in the Australian side. Buchan is 7th.
The mission gets harder for Sweeney from this point, doesn't it? To clear some of those drivers ahead of him. He's got Bathurst, Girolami, Mikulis. They're the next 3 that he's got to try and find a way, A, to latch onto the back of, and then B, somehow get past. They've got their own mission to think about, Norby Mikulis especially.
Yeah, that's not a sight that you need to see through your windshield if you're looking to try and gather together as many points as you possibly can. And I believe Chris Stubbs down on pit lane has news.
Thank you. I have Teddy Claret. Teddy, great to see you back here at Bathurst. This is not, however, a happy ending. Talk us through what's happened.
We received quite a big hit from, I think, Minef. I was fighting with him just at the braking zone after chase. And then tires was touching with the body. Too much smoke, and it was impossible to drive. So that's it. That's over, unfortunately.
Have you had fun all the same?
Yeah, of course I have. It's always a pleasure to drive here. Quite a shame to end like this, but that's it. That's how it is. So we have to do with it.
Great to see you back, and hopefully we'll see you again next year.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
With the backing of Hankcher Forklifts there, great to have him back down under. So just to sort of reiterate what he said, there's some contact, a bit of elbows out, obviously, with Lockie Manif, some bodywork damage, and he's into the lane. And now Lockie Manif has just come past our position here in commentary, so we'll get the other side of that story for you. We'll get some balance in it.
He was shown the mechanical black flag a couple of laps ago, so maybe they decided to pull him into the pit lane and get that sorted out in the Equipment Dynamics Audi for Purple Sector Racing. So he comes to the pit lane with Teddy Claret out of this race. As the Lincoln Co's continue to lead, 0.8 of a second. The margin, Elishay back to Bjork, Rob Huff still in 3rd. In the Comtu Audi behind is Tony D'Alberto, looking to collect maximum points in the Australian Series and likely to finish. Oh no, Jordan Cox has now stopped in front of the Ridges. An early check-in for the Schaeffler Peugeot.
There is McNeve coming out of pit lane now, so whatever problems have been resolved, you can see the rear left arch has been removed, so there's no more hanging, dangerous parts of the bodywork of that car. Now, we didn't see this in the previous race, but here we go, safety car. So Jan Elishay has worked very hard indeed, thank you very much, to build up a bit of a cushion to teammate Ted Bjork. All of that can be thrown in the dustbin.
And who does this help? Bailey Sweeney gets him up onto the back of Vervees, Girolami and Mikulis now with the safety car out. 18 minutes into this race and 4 laps to go in the Kumho TCR World Tour. D'Alberto leads from Sweeney and Suter when it comes to the Australian Series. This might tell us what happened.
Look at the exhaust pipe.
That's not normal for the Peugeot. Spectacular, but
full Batman move, wasn't
is.
it? Flamethrower. Not good for, unfortunately, for Jordan Cox. So he's out of the game. We go back and consider inside. There's Barry Rogers in the background there. We're inside GRM, or Gary Rogers Motorsport, as we call it in here in Australia. Baz trying to run away from our cameras. So Bailey Sweeney, position 8. Aaron Cameron, who drives for GRM, or Gary Rogers Motorsport, 12th. Josh Buchan, who was top of the points coming into this race, and we believe still is, 14th at the moment in this race. That's stricken Schaeffler Peugeot. We're under safety car conditions here. Kumho, TCR World Tour, and final race of the season for Supercheap Auto TCR Australia.
Chinghua has been given a bad sportsmanship flag. That's for blocking in the 155 Lincoln Co car. As the field compresses behind the Hyundai safety car, and it'll leave us maybe with a 2-lap dash to finish up the series. Josh Buchan has gone up one more position to put the series out to 11 points now between he and Bailey Sweeney. And after what I saw in Trans Am today, Greg Rust, I'm not game to say anything right now.
Well, for our international viewers, in one of the support categories here today, a very prominent support category to Australian TCR, I should point out, it was a nail-biting finish that for a moment we thought would slip from the grasp from the eventual champion, James Moffat, son of one of the all-time greats of motorsport in this country, but he eventually would go on to win the title. So recovery team go to work here. Let's get an update from pit lane to Molly Taylor.
Well, I've been watching from the HMO customer racing, and I can tell you I haven't seen anyone blink so far in there. I spoke to the guys as well about Josh Buchan. It looks like something's happened, guys.
Sorry, Molly, to interject there. Aaron Cameron has pulled up in that car, that Valvoline Peugeot has pulled over just by pit exit. He's making the lonely walk back into pit lane. What has gone wrong for one of the contenders? He's out of the game. It's over for Aaron Cameron. Camo is out of the title fight. It's down to Sweeney versus Josh Buchan. Buchan now picks up a spot with that. He goes to 13th, Matt.
And puts Tony D'Alberto third in the series. With all of that. Can you believe this day?
Even under safety cars at Mount Panorama, you're not safe from drama and controversy. Really devastating for Aaron Cameron there. There's another car, obviously, we're under safety car conditions, so the recovery team will be able to snatch that one behind the barriers into safety. And I think we got word from Christo on pit lane.
Yeah, the issue there for Aaron Cameron, overheating. So problem with the radiator, they think something maybe when he went off track earlier, maybe got through the radiator. So absolute devastation down here for the hardworking team, Gary Rogers Motorsport.
Gary joked with me before when we were in the garage there for the Trans Am race. He said, we love the drama. Well, we have had that in spades today for all sorts of reasons. And the twists in this championship fight keep coming, even to single-digit laps left in the Australian title. Unbelievable.
Absolutely incredible scenes here at Bathurst. So let's take stock for a moment while we're under safety car conditions. Jan Elishay is the race leader from his teammate Ted Bjork. Cyan Racing, Lincoln Co. 1-2. Rob Huff driving very Huffy-esque in third position with minimal fuss for Audi Sport to come to you. Just behind him, the charging Tony D'Alberto for the Honda World Racing outfit. Norbert Mikulis, out of all the dramas, has moved himself into 5th position. He's a part of a Honda sandwich, because just behind him is the other Honda World Racing car of Bebu Girolame. Frederick Vervish is 7th, Bailey Sweeney and Zach Suter. And this is the big contact that we saw earlier on from Santiago Arruti. Massive contact from the rear of the car. We survived the safety car on that occasion, though. Mikhail Kona decides he needs to get his elbows out. Jordan Cox was the victim on that occasion. Aaron Cameron, we later found him in retirement, but before that, he had plenty of good racing. Teddy Clary carrying some damage. The car undrivable, the French driver suggests.
Mikhail Kona diving down the inside of Cameron at that point. It was the flamethrower for Jordan Cox. Unfortunately, the Peugeot cried enough, and so did the sister entry of Aaron Cameron, who was in the hunt for the Australian title being decided in this final race of the season here at Bathurst. So the internationals at the moment lock out the top 3 spots in this race. We know that Tony D'Alberto, who is the reigning Australian champion, has a very fast Honda. In the final race of the year, in that brand new Civic Type R, can he unsettle one of the internationals? Maybe cause an upset here. He's surrounded by them. Norby Mikulis behind him. His own stablemate in Nesta Girolami. Frederick Vervish Can he get up? He's a dynamite restarter, dynamite starter. If he can find a little way to get up close to Rob Huff, they will work together, those two ComTU Audis.
Rusty, you know Tony D'Alberto far better than I. The question I have is, what will he preference? The current third position in the standings, as things are in the overall Super Cheap Auto TCR Australia, or lick it and send it and get an overall podium for the last race of the season?
He's coming off a podium here in the recent Bathurst 1000 with Dick Johnson Racing. He won the title here 12 months ago, Paul. I don't think he necessarily has to think about that now. I reckon he's going to lick it and send a big message to the internationals by doing that. In the meantime, a quick update from the lane. Back to Molly.
Yeah, guys, just covering off what we were talking about with the HMO Customer Racing, Josh Bucket. If you look at the timesheets, doesn't look like he's got a lot of pace there, but chatting to the team, everything is okay with the car, so there's no issues there. I think the general vibe that I was getting was he's playing the long game, and you know, it seems to be working for him.
Molly, the vibe. She's been hanging out with DJ Carl Cox.
Yes.
Great spotting. I mean, awesome to have a world-class racer like Molly Taylor, star on the international scene in Extreme E as a part of our coverage there in pit lane. Chris Stubbs, a real news hound in motorsport in Australia, getting us updates as well. Matt, to you with, I think, a number scenario.
1 lap to go. We'll get a 1 lap dash in this race from Race Control. As it stands, 13 points between Buchan and Sweeney. D'Alberto goes up into 3rd place. Aaron Cameron should finish in 4th. Lockie Manif has gone up into 5th now for the series. Jordan Cox 6th, Barguana 7th. Tom Oliphant on target for 8th and to become the Rookie of the Year in TCR Australia. And it's going to be a 1-lap dash, gentlemen.
That's a nice story too. We probably haven't spoken too much about the Ash Seaward Motorsport crew. They've got 20 people here across a raft of categories this weekend. That's nice for Tom, who's been a race winner in the British Touring Car Championship. Got hold of that Lincoln Co. in the first couple of rounds of the Aussie Series. Big learning curve for them. May not have been on the radar relative to the Cyan Racing entries that are at the front of this field here, but that's a cool story if he's able to clinch that rookie crown.
Throwing it to the Kumho TCR World Tour, I'm just hearing on a message from my colleague Neil Hudson. Thank you very much, Neil, back in the UK. If things stay as they are, with Jan in P1, Huff in P3 and Norby in P5, Rob and Jan will be tied on 384 points, and Norbert Mikulis will be the grand total of 1 point in arrears as Mikel Azcona hit the wall. As I speak, behind the safety car, Mikel Azcona catches the wall, destroys the front right of that Hyundai behind. Oh, this is behind the safety car.
This might finish under safety car here. That'll take too long to
he's
move.
furious.
That's
Look
unbelievable.
Azcona, look, he's absolutely distraught. Sorry, Greg, to cut across you there, but look at the way he threw the belts off of the car. He knows 10th position he was holding at that moment in time. Quite what went wrong, I don't know, but Mikel Azcona, you don't see many mistakes from the young Spanish driver, and that will hurt.
After the charge from the back of the field in race 2 to finish just outside the top 10, and the safety car lights are staying on, and I fear it's going to finish this way. That's it. I can't give any more.
The gift that keeps on giving.
It does.
Bathurst International, thank you very much.
But those numbers you rattled off before in World Tour terms, let's see if we can figure out what happened here.
Wow. That's strange.
That's weird.
Something doesn't look right there. You don't go that far out, that dramatically.
And it doesn't look like there's damage on the other side of the car, so let's listen. Something weird has happened there. There's no immediate sound to suggest contact from another driver. Look, let's look. See, and he didn't massively grab the wheel to avoid something. What has happened there?
I did greatly enjoy how Greg and I, both wearing cans, moved closer to the television set to listen for the noises. But yeah, that is very peculiar. That is very, very peculiar. And Mikel Azcona, my heart goes out to any racing driver whose race ends in that kind of way, and especially after a stirring drive that we saw from Azcona in race 2 earlier on today. But just going back to what you were saying, Nolts, about when I was talking about the championship permutations, that will not affect the figures that I've just given, because Azcona obviously in 10th position was not in that running.
Look at the rear vision mirror in the centre. So watch above. turns in. Everything's fine here. That's odd.
That is bizarre. I don't think, looking at the rear view mirror, didn't look like there was any help from the car behind in this situation.
Has he been, just as we're under cooler conditions, under safety car, a little too wide coming through that corner, and maybe some debris on the outside, the very outside, has picked up on that right front wheel? Is that I don't understand why that's happened.
Bizarre.
Some of the best advice I was ever given as a young aspiring commentator was, if you don't know, don't make assumptions. And I have absolutely no idea on that one. Very, very bizarre. I'm just hearing in my ear that we will get a checkered flag. So this race will finish under safety car conditions for something a bit different. We've had a full range of everything, chaps. And where does that leave us? So Super Cheap Australia Championship.
Matt's double-checking the numbers, and while he does that, just to reiterate what Paul said before, this tightens up the Kumho TCR World Tour unbelievably close going into next week's event. Everyone jets out from here. They head to Macau, one of the toughest, most brutal stops on the tour, and it's close.
Yep, it really is. Macau, very much. Plenty of casinos down that way, and it is the spin of the roulette wheel when you go on that racetrack. Form, skill, speed count for very little indeed. If the luck of the gods are on your side, you'll have a good weekend. If misfortune is your friend, then it's going to be a bad day indeed. So the Kumho TCR World Tour, one for future, is lined up very nicely indeed. But gents, the right here and right now is looking rather dramatic.
It's going to be a slow way to finish up the series, the day and the Super Cheap Auto Bathurst International. Josh Buchan, as they go past the stranded 196 of McAuliffe Connor, who hit the wall under safety car, preventing this from getting a one-lap dash in. It's going to give the title to Josh Buchan by 13 points. And it's HMO Customer Racing Rusty will go 1-2 in this year's Super Cheap Auto TCR Australia Series.
And Bailey Sweeney will go from the joys of leading this series, the consistency he's demonstrated throughout season 2023, and then seeing the points slip from his grasp here. Unbelievable story. The internationals, we thought relative to the Australians that they, I wouldn't say struggle, that's not the right word for it, but we thought the Aussies might have the upper hand at the mountain here in some respects, but they have come. The top three here, Jan Aleshay, Ted Bjork, Rob Huff, are going to lock out the top three spots in this final race of the weekend. The story, as we watch the internationals and we go inside Cyan Racing Lincoln Cove for just a moment, while we think about the TCR World Tour, we're also looking a little further afield because Josh Buchan, who hasn't had a standard rise through the Australian motorsport ranks, born in Lithgow, as a teenager had no real intention of becoming a professional racing driver. Checkered flag waves. Our congratulations to Jan Aleshay, Ted Bjork and Rob Huff. They're your top three. We give it the international focus, but Josh Buchan has applied himself, fallen in love with cars. He's an advanced driving instructor, been a great asset for Hyundai. Cyan Racing, Lincoln Co are the team's champions. That's why they were crunching some numbers. While we celebrate that, we believe the numbers will confirm Josh Buchan from HMO Customer Racing as your Australian champion. The Super Cheap Auto TCR Australia crown in 2023 will go to Josh Buchan.
Congratulations. Josh Buchan, the 27-year-old from Sydney, adds it to his New South Wales Formula Ford Championship. He won the Formula Ford Festival here back in 2019 and will hold the Super Cheap Auto TCR trophy for the Australian Series aloft in just a few moments' time. But what about this team? 1 and 2 in the final race to wrap up the World Tour Teams Championship.
Yeah, absolutely. Cyan Racing Lincoln Co have been a powerhouse from the beginning of the Kumho TCR World Tour some 6 months ago at the Portimao circuit in Portugal. The team very well presented. We've mentioned it many times this weekend. They're very Formula One-esque in their professionalism, their presentation, the quality that surrounds that squad. And It was almost never in question, but they've come in here and in the best way possible with a 1-2 in the race, secured that championship. The Drivers' Series still very firmly up for grabs. And then Josh Buchan. What can we say about the way that he's come back? He's delivered in the most pressured environment possible and a subdued 12th position on the circuit, but doing exactly what he needed to do to secure the championship for himself in Australia.
He played this perfectly all weekend. He said, whatever it'll be, will be.
Yep.
It's easy to do the chasing. He did that, but you've got to feel for Bailey Sweeney. Led the series for all but 2 races earlier in the year. And to go down the final race, the young man has a massive future. And just to show the ultra-professionalism of this team, they're side by side around the top of Mount Panorama. Cyan Racing, Lincoln Co. wrap up a phenomenal 2 weekends here in Australia. Thoroughly enjoyed this, gentlemen. It was highly anticipated. For mine, I'll be very honest, it over-delivered. It was awesome.
Could not agree more. Could not agree more for ourselves as well to come here and race in the Kumho TCR World Tour for the first time on Australian soil. We went to Sydney Motorsports Park, racing under the lights, visually incredibly spectacular, and everybody said to me, wait until you get to Bathurst. It is delivered. It's been incredible. We had a safety car finish, a champion decided on the final lap. Collection with a wall for Mikel Azcona, and then look, formation flying to the line. These two delivering for Lincoln Co.
How about that bit of vision as they came out of Forest Elbow there? Then the absolute heartbreak for Mikel Azcona, sitting with our officials with that damaged car out of the game, and then these two celebrating a team's world title as a part of the World Tour for Cyan Racing Lincoln Co. Well done. Ted Bjork and Jan Aleshay will be your race winner. Rob Huff home in 3rd place. Tony D'Alberto, the first of the Aussies, home in 4th. But the other story in 12th position is Josh Buchan for HMO Customer Racing. As we take a look at the final results for you, he will be our Australian champion in 2023.
So Jan Aleshay is the race winner ahead of teammate Ted Bjork. Rounding out the podium, Rob Huff continues a strong stay on Australian soil. Tony D'Alberto, pace within the Honda, could not quite extract it enough to find his way onto the rostrum come the conclusion of this race. Norbert Michaelis, a committed drive in 5th position ahead of Nestor Girolami. But as we round our cars underneath the podium and get ready to celebrate, it is Jan Aleshay as the man that will take the 1st place trophy. And with it, I'm sure there will be plenty of smiles all round at ComTU and Lincoln Co. Cyan Racing.
What does this mean next year for the other teams watching this from Europe right now? They're going to come out. They've seen what Australia's like. Will we see more teams as Aleshay jumps out and celebrates victory?
Absolutely. I think everybody, I know that I personally, as a fan of the Super Cheap Auto TCR Australia, knew the level would be high. But I think it's just been so spectacular to see everybody compete on an even keel.
Yeah.
20+ cars, all doing an exceptional job. It's brilliant.
Jan Aleshay celebrating there, young driver with family roots, family connections in motor racing. Special for him to say he's a race winner now at Mount Panorama. There's Rob Benson, HMO Customer Racing. They come down to congratulate their driver in Josh Buchan. We'll take you there very, very shortly for some celebrations, both for our internationals and on the domestic scene. Pretty special day here at Mount Panorama. Let's go to Chris.
Thank you, Greg. It has been a very special time. It's been a very special as we've welcomed the Kumho TCR. Give Rob his hat, because Kumho have done a great job bringing this all together. You've done a great job, Rob, over the last couple of weekends. Congratulations.
Yeah, not a bad trip in Oz, so thanks for all the support, everyone. I know everyone at home has been up early watching, so thank you, all my family and everyone. Yeah, to come away with another big points haul this weekend, to get 3rd in that last race was crucial. I think it's equal first in the championship now. We're in Jan and we'll be 1 point behind, so let's take it to Macau next weekend.
Outstanding job, well done. Now great to have Rob Huff back at the mountain. He has been here previously in other categories. It's getting pretty wild down here, but I have got eyes on Ted Bjork, so I'm just going to grab Ted over for a second. We're live at the moment, Ted, so we'll just grab you and congratulate you on another podium at Mount Panorama.
It feels great, you know, it feels great. the limits, you know, are so close. You saw my teammate Santi just in front of me. I was like, whoa, it's so tight. But happy just to, you know, make it stick around the outside and keep the position. Very happy for Jan, very happy for the team. You know, that's the team championship for us. Very happy to see an Australian driver on the roof celebrating his victory. So nice.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
We'll move on down to our race winner for today, if we can. Jan Aleshay, just giving the #1 finger to the cameras, and so you should. Congratulations, you are a winner at Mount Panorama.
Yeah, thank you very much. First of all, I want to start with thanking the team very much. I got a big help by Santi to go through T1 and get the lead, so big thanks to him. I'm sorry his race ended up like this, and Ted did a very good support in behind to help me to win that one. So yeah, we show good pace. The team bring us an amazing car to catch up. Honestly, driving here, winning in Bathurst is a childhood dream. So you know, like in Australia, we have such nice tracks, such nice drivers, and an atmosphere in racing. So it's a pleasure to be here.
It has been a pleasure to see you here and doing your craft so well. Enjoy the celebrations coming up.
Thank you very much.
That brings us on to our Australian champion. The champion of the Super Cheap Auto TCR Australia is Josh Buchan. Get your hands on the trophy presented by Benjamin Ward, Director of Super Cheap Auto. Josh Buchan. He's a happy man. The celebrations here. Congratulations, Josh. This has been a long journey for you, hasn't it?
Yeah, oh man, it still doesn't really feel real, to be honest. The amount of times I asked on the in-lap, like, are you joking? Are you serious? Do I have to do any of this or more rubbish? Like, I'm over racing for this weekend, for this year. Get it done, give me the goddamn trophy and let me get out of here.
Who do you have to thank? There's a lot of people that are involved in bringing a campaign like this together.
Yeah, look, on a serious note, first and foremost, there's a couple of people not doing too well who are watching. Philip Rogers and my grandfather back in Sydney. Thank you for both of your support over the years. Everyone here wishing me well, my parents in the early days, the guy who helped me through karting, Jason Varley, thank you, mate. Everyone along the line, Paul Liston from Formula Ford gave me a break. Errol Gilmore no longer with us. I mean, God, I can keep going, and that's not even before TCR. Rob Benson, Barry Morecambe, Guido Bill, everyone at Hyundai, who gave me a break for no other reason than just why not that guy. So, yeah, I feel very honoured and privileged to be on the grid, let alone to win races, let alone to take the series. So I'm incredibly humbled and, you know, gracious in this.
Josh, I think one person you've forgotten to mention there is yourself, because you've driven the car, they've given it to you. You started out borrowing a trailer, you started out borrowing tools just to get to a racetrack. You've made this happen. What does it mean to you?
You're a wordsmith, Stubbsy. Bloody hell. Oh, man, yeah, like, I have no words. I just can't believe. I stopped up at Lithgow Kart Track on the way up here where it all started and kind of just smelt the air again. Still smells rubbish. And I was just thinking, like, shit, I can't believe I'm going to drive over at Bathurst in a world touring car against the best in the world, guys I've made friends with. Yeah, it's just, yeah, I just can't believe it.
Josh Buchan, go and enjoy the celebrations.
One thing I should mention as well, my teammate Bailey, I know he's probably listening. The guy was super unlucky. He was the fastest car this year. He was the fastest driver. You know, I've lost things like this before where that sort of stuff happens. He's a very deserving champion and he'll have his day. So
beautifully said. Go and enjoy.
Cool, thank you.
Total professional. From start to finish, Lockie Maneve comes in as well. Great friends off the track. Very humble in victory. And this year's Super Cheap Auto TCR Australia Series champion and HMO Customer Racing go 1-2 in the 2023 title.
Beautiful words. And that's the Josh Buchan you get away from the cockpit, the Josh Buchan away from the racetrack. As we said before, genuinely loves it, has come through a path of motor racing, but maybe not as quick as others to jump to it. Highlights for you of the final race of the weekend here for the World Tour and Super Cheap Auto TCR Australia, and it was a Cyan Racing Lincoln Co onslaught from the outset. 3 cars leading the way, a freight train. Aaron Cameron centred. At that point, that move on Tony D'Alberto was crucial in his title bid. A last roll of the dice. It unfortunately didn't pay off. D'Alberto would get by. This was wild, pretty fast as they came through the chase.
Had the bit between his teeth from the outset of this race, but it would sadly come to an end a little later in the race. I love this move. We saw this from the in-car. He just hung around the outside of Jordan Cox, but had to tuck in behind. Contact on the main straight between Claret and Manif saw Claret retire. Manif had to have some damage removed from his number 22 Audi. But then the moment of the race, Santiago Urrutia hitting the wall at the top of Salmon Park, dropping the Lincoln Co. battle down to 2.
Massive contact there from Urrutia. Good awareness, though, to keep the car out of harm's way. A bit further down, there was Aaron Cameron running very, very deep. Indeed, that put him under pressure. Mikel Azcona was the man that tried to make the way around the outside. There is Claret with the damage on the car, calling the car undrivable. That was the end of his day. Mikel Azcona and Aaron Cameron once again, as further back, we see plenty of drama. Jordan Cox, flames spitting from the rear of that Peugeot. That would be the end of Jordan Cox's day, and stablemate Aaron Cameron, his title aspirations up in smoke. Mikel Azcona, contact with the wall under safety car conditions. Still don't know why that occurred. Azcona furious with that position, and that meant we finished the race under safety car. We finished the race with Cyan Racing Lincoln Co. as the team's champion, and with Josh Buchan as the new Super Cheap Auto TCR Australia champion.
They'll celebrate hard tonight, no question about it.
You think?
And the pressure is off. There'll be a few more lemonades going down there at HMO Customer Racing. What a week of racing from Sydney to Bathurst. Nothing but phenomenal racing, and here's how it looked from the World Tour.
Let's take a look at this one. At the top of the standings, Jan Aleshe and Rob Huff level on points, and then night and day away is Norbert Miklis, 1 point in arrears in third. Mikel Azcona is fourth in the standings. Aleshe is top of the standings on race win countback at this moment in time. But going into Macau, anything can happen, and it usually does. So the fight is well and truly on in the Kumho TCR World Tour.
That is unbelievable. At this stage of the series, the World Tour, this is what happened in the end as far as the numbers were concerned at the end of the championship that took us to Tasmania, to Phillip Island, to Queensland, Sydney and more. In the end, nothing in it. Buchan clings and wins the crown. Time for the podium.
Rusty, time to congratulate the champions and the top 3 finishers in the final race of the Kumho TCR World Tour and Super Cheap Auto TCR Australia Series at Mount Panorama. In third place for Audi Sport, come to you from Great Britain, it's Rob Huff. In second place for Cyan Racing Lincoln Co. from Sweden, it's Ted Bjork. Representing the winning team from Cyan Racing Lincoln Co. Please welcome Alex Cannon. And your race winner at Mount Panorama, ladies and gentlemen, from Cyan Racing Lincoln Co., it's Jan Aleshe. Please stand by for the French national anthem. Ladies and gentlemen, to present the third place trophy, we welcome to the podium Serge Opatisano, the CEO and Managing Director of Worth Australia. The second place trophy will be presented by the President of WSC Group, Marcello Lotti. Now for the Winnings Teams Trophy, to be presented by Councillor Robert Taylor for the Bathurst Regional Council. And finally, the Winning Drivers Trophy, to be presented by Andre Corter, the General Manager, E-Commerce and Marketing from Supercheap Auto. What an incredible way to end the World Tour's debut in Australia. Drivers, the podium is all
Absolutely, thank you very much, Knowles. The same from our side. On behalf of the Kumho TCR World Tour, I want to thank all of Australia for such a wonderful warm welcome. Right from the second we set foot on these shores, from Sydney Motorsport Park, the organisation, the event, everybody working on venue was incredible to work with you. Then coming here to Bathurst, what can I say about Bathurst Mount Panorama? And again, the circuit, the racing, the teams, the drivers, we know they're spectacular, but it's everybody involved in the production behind the scenes. From front of camera, Greg Russ, Matt Nolte in the commentary box, Molly Taylor, and then Chris Stubbs down on pit lane, and all of the names and faces and voices that you maybe don't hear on the broadcast that are here to make this possible. It's an honour and a pleasure to work with you. Thank you from us all. And for the Kumho TCR World Tour, see you in Macau on the 17th to the 19th of November. It's been an absolute pleasure.
An absolutely extraordinary way to finish off the Shannon Speed Series of 2023. Molly Taylor, Chris Stubbs, Rusty will join us in just a sec to wrap all this up, but we just need to take a bit of a breather, and we need to remind you on stand